Okay, welcome at Life and Dive. Again, another interview. This time I brought you Björn Erickson. Welcome. And
Thank you.
well, let's start a little bit. This will not be the typical interview. We're more trying to understand where we come from, how we met, who you are. Tell us a little bit about you.
So, my name is Björn, like you said. I'm from Sweden, and the reason I'm doing this is I've had a fascination for sharks since I was a little boy. And as I got into diving, the whole issue with shark finning, environmental destruction, and ocean acidification just hit me very hard. And so, with my background in social science from university, I thought I need to help with the shark finning issue and manta ray catching as well, by taking it from the looking at it from the social science perspective.
All right. So you basically said it already. It's about sharks and manta rays.
Yeah.
You're doing a master thesis here. We're meeting on Lembongan in Indonesia, close to Bali. You've been to many other places. It was not only Lembongan. Where else, and where was what going on?
So first I started off in Lombok at Tanjung Luar, which is a fish market in the southeast part, and it's the biggest shark landing site in Indonesia. And Indonesia in turn is the biggest exporter of shark fins.
I think you brought us some material, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a little bit of a look at this. And maybe you can just explain a little bit of what is happening here.
So here you can see some shark fishing boats, the blue and white ones.
The big ones are the shark fishing,
Yeah.
okay.
And this is from the harbor in Tanjung Luar. And here some women at 6 in the morning, they're helping bring the fish to the fish market. So it's not just a shark market, it's other fish as well.
Okay. So these are just all normal
These
fishing
are normal
boats?
fishing boats, yeah.
Okay, right.
And these are some fins. I think I can see a
These are-
hammerhead among others.
That's the long one, I guess.
Yeah.
And
They're
this
being
is,
hung up
that's
to
close
dry.
to the fish market here?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. It's right next outside of it.
Oh, and this is
A
the place
big
where they
hammerhead.
sell the sharks?
Yeah, this is the auction place.
Oh, they're auctioning them?
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of prices can we see for...
Oh, they range very. It depends on the demand. If there is high demand, the prices can be crazy. And this is also what drives fishermen to go for shark fishing.
So this is a hammerhead here, but this
Yeah.
was freed of its hammers.
Yeah, it's. I think it's partly because it makes them harder to identify,
All right. So
and also because they lay down more smoothly, as we
this is
see.
crazy. Yeah. So what steers the demand? Is there I don't know. Yeah. Is there some? Is it more during Christmas? Is it more expensive? Or?
I'm not really sure. I guess it depends on the stocks that they have, like in Hong Kong and China.
All right.
So if they're low on stock, then they need more sharks. And here we have a small bamboo shark, still breathing.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And he was just about to be freed from his misery. So
And they're like.
more hammerheads, as we see, some small shark species. Spinner sharks were very common.
And there's even a tiger, right?
There's a tiger. Yeah, this is the first time I saw a tiger shark.
It would be nicer to see them in the water, huh?
It would have. And this is the finning.
You just told me you have to be smiling while
Yeah.
filming.
But these men are happy. They have a big catch. So if you, especially as a Westerner, if you come and say that they're not supposed to do this, and many Westerners do come and act like they know what's going on, then yeah, they will be angry. There have been some violence as well against people protesting.
So, and here we've got the harvest.
Yeah.
How much is this?
A couple of days catch.
Just a couple of days
Yeah.
catch. Wow, that's so what, 2-3 days, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Oof, that is quite shocking.
And I spoke to one of the people I interviewed. He was a shark fisherman 20 years ago. Started in the early 90s, and then he became a shark trader. And back then they caught 500 sharks per day.
500.
Yeah, they
sharks.
couldn't fill the market. No, they couldn't make room for them in the market. And nowadays a good catch is 20.
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago 500. Now
Yeah.
20 is a good catch.
Oh my god. Okay, so that you don't need to be a mathematician to say that the stocks are getting smaller. Oh my God. Um, well, okay. Now you do this master thesis on the sharks and the finning, and well, you come from the social science background. So basically, your aim on all of this, when I understood you right, is to understand how the economic situation of fishermen actually, yeah, creates this fishing of
Yeah.
sharks, and yeah, how the picture that out a
So
little bit.
I'm studying how, because there are many efforts to protect sharks now and manta
Mm.
rays. For example, we have marine protected areas (MPAs),
Mm.
and also several species like the manta and some shark species as well are protected
Mm.
by law, and some are also banned from export. But since there are many people depending on this type of fishing for a livelihood,
Mm.
then this protection will have an impact on them economically.
Yeah.
So that's what was my angle. Like, how does this affect the fishermen living on this? And for the MPAs, I was also studying because MPAs create a no fishing zone.
Right.
So most types of fishing
Yeah.
becomes forbidden
Yeah.
or restricted. So I was also studying how normal fishing communities in Komodo and in Nusa Penida were affected by marine conservation in terms of an MPA, where manta rays are
Right.
visiting.
Right. So basically, yeah, and then of course, fishermen that are not allowed to enter these MPAs anymore, they end up with a big difficulty of, well, yeah, feeding their families.
Yeah.
Right. So you told me some numbers about the drop in income for the
Yeah.
fishermen.
The
What?
fishermen in Komodo village, Rincha village, and Papagaran. There are 3 separate islands. Many of them had their income cut by 70%.
70%.
Yeah, and they ascribe this to the MPA.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have certain areas, certain zones they're allowed to fish in, but these are further away, and they can't use the same equipment.
Or spend more petrol to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's many factors putting into this decrease in income.
And of course, the MPAs were chosen because of good fish grounds and good
Yeah.
coral stands. And,
Yeah.
Yes.
And the manta rays as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Nusa Penida, for example, is one of the big motivations is that manta rays come here. So that's why they created the MPA here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then yet there comes somebody else when it's about mantas. Obviously, talking about tourists. So they could be. Many people think they're part of the solution in solving these problems. Why doesn't it work for some fishermen? And why does it do for some? What you found something there, right?
Yeah, this actually my part of my thesis is about giving these fishing communities access to this economic share.
To the new business tourism.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, for example, in Komodo, some people from the villages were hired as park rangers, and they're given, for example, they may create tourist like wooden dragons to sell to the tourists.
So souvenir production.
Yeah, mainly.
Do they also get jobs as waiters or dive guides, maybe, or do they organize their own snorkel tours? Is there other things than souvenir production?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
park
but
ranger?
so far what I've seen is quite limited. At least in Komodo, in Nusa Penida, it's big. So they have a big access to the tourism economy here, the fishermen. But in Komodo, it was quite different.
So I imagine this is simply the reason why things are working here on Nusa Penida, but not in Komodo.
Yeah.
That they don't need to fish anymore because they have other sources of income.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about culture? Is there something? I mean, they're still fishermen. They've been fishermen for generations.
Yeah.
Is there
Generations.
Is there something where they say like, "Oh, I would like to stay a fisherman"?
I think it plays a part in it, definitely. They have been fishing. Their dad was fishing. And maybe they're 40, 50 years old. It's the only thing they know.
Yeah, so they can't really become a waiter anymore.
No, it's really hard to learn about service and so on. It takes a lot of education and understanding for other cultures as well, which is quite limited in these relatively isolated places. But I know there are certain dive shops who work with educating taking people from these villages and hiring and educating them to become dive instructors. Actually,
That's
dive
good.
masters now, but eventually dive instructors as well.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. You just need to learn another language, and
Yeah.
boom, they can be
Yeah.
dive instructor. It's also good for them, right?
Yeah, and they bring this knowledge back to the villages about marine protection and etc. etc.
And I can imagine fathers and mothers and parents are quite proud of their kids when they do these kind of jobs.
I didn't hear
Or-
anything about that specific
Oh,
question,
okay.
but I can also imagine. I mean, they bring home a lot of money to begin
Yeah,
with.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Thinking of this shark finning and manta gilling, I don't know how it's called, but they take the gills for
Yeah.
the traditional Chinese medicine. For them, it's fast and easy money, obviously. And what are the prices at the market at the moment? Mainly in Hong Kong, you told me,
Yeah,
for such a fin.
prices. With the thing is with the fins, it's very speculative, and so it's kind of since it's an auction, they can. It has promised it can be a decent amount or it can be a very high amount. So, what I remember from Tanjung Luan, the fisherman told me that for one trip, one shark fishing trip, which can last from about 10 days to a month, the net income for a fisherman is between $60 to $200.
For the entire month.
Yeah, for the trip.
But that's nothing.
No, but $200 is a very high. It's a very good catch.
Wow.
But this is also because the profit from shark finning is divided not very fair.
Yeah, the fishermen get almost nothing.
They get
and-
almost nothing. They get like a ninth.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Shit.
So depending on the crew, because so one is the capital provider, he gets a third, then the boat owner gets a third, and then the rest, if I remember correctly, is shared among the crew.
So the fishermen basically get nothing. While well, I guess the most profitable one is the restaurants when they sell the actual soup.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
and the middleman probably also they get
Yeah,
quite a
the people
big
from
share.
they come from Surabaya mainly.
Where's that? Sorry.
Not really sure at the moment. It's somewhere between Bali and Jakarta.
Okay. So but still Indonesia.
Yeah.
All right.
But then these middlemen take it to China, export it to China.
And mainly Hong Kong.
Mainly Hong Kong. If I remember correctly, Hong Kong is between 89 to 95% of all consumption
Worldwide, or from here?
from here.
From here. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I imagine for any future planning of MPAs, one must take this into consideration and not only plan the MPA, but also go to Hong Kong and try to, well, dry out this market and
Yeah.
make people understand what they're actually doing there.
Yeah, what they're eating.
Yeah. What
Like I
what
said,
they're eating.
it's actually called in China fish wing soup.
Fish wing soup.
So they don't really understand that it's sharks they're eating.
So they're not even told that these are sharks.
Some aren't, no. But it's a traditional Chinese food. There was an emperor in China a very long time ago, thousands of years ago, and this was his favorite dish. So it's a high status dish, maybe like lobster or oyster or something like that would be for us Europeans.
Right.
So, and with the economic boom in China,
Yeah.
demand for luxurious meals goes
So
up.
basically, it's a product that has always existed, but since Chinese were not as rich as they are today, there was never really been a problem. Right. Sometimes things can be really simple. Thinking of all this brutality that we've just seen, they're not exactly nice pictures, and that you've seen. I mean, you took these images. What keeps you from getting completely depressed and frustrated?
Yeah, well, I think these decades are very
Little dog.
These are very important decades that are playing out right now.
Yeah.
This is almost the last chance that we have to do anything real that can change the tide of environmental destruction and all the bad things that are going on. So for me, it's the moral thing to do.
Either now
Yeah,
or never.
yeah, pretty much.
And that keeps you up.
So far, yeah.
Wow.
So far, it's easy to just lay back and do nothing and play your games and watch a TV. But for me, it's the moral thing to do.
I guess.
And also here I can find my specific angle because there's a lack of social science research also on this issue.
Yeah. So there's basically a demand in science as well to finally get some valid data on the social situation and financial
And the impact,
situation,
yeah.
and the impact that it has.
What I've understood so far is there's a lack. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So basically, giving up is for pussies.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the outlook is grim.
Mm.
So you just mentioned it.
Yeah, we have the biggest extinction of biodiversity in 65 million years going on right now.
I've heard 150 species per day getting
Yeah,
extinct.
up to 100 I've heard as well. Half biodiversity will be gone by the end of the century. Is the expectation.
Half the species on this planet.
Exactly.
So what do you think? We have a chance?
According to ecological rules, we shouldn't have. No, in the long term.
I mean, basically, we're like sawing off the branch that we're sitting on, huh?
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
oh my god. No good.
That's why we have to act now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty much our last chance. And sharks are one of the most important animals on the planet.
Yeah, they
Being
keep the
top
entire
rank.
ecosystem in check. And
Exactly.
keep it, yeah.
Like lions and wolves, etc., etc.
Poachers in Africa doing their part there.
Yeah. But it's the same here, where ex-poachers become park rangers instead.
But you said there's also a problem with the park rangers sometimes?
Yeah, in Komodo especially, there was many witnesses about abuse from the park rangers. So the fishing communities were feeling harassed by them. So
In which way? What did they do?
They go out, drive up to the boats, and ask them for papers, identification, etc. When they know they have them. So it's all this like feeling you have your ice in your neck. You know, someone's constantly watching you. And these are the traditional waters. I mean, so they say they feel like thieves in their own waters, where they've lived for hundreds of years. It's a very old people.
And old traditions.
Yeah, very old.
So basically, what they would need is, like the rangers, maybe how to actually police and how to fulfill their duty, and so there's also training necessary.
Yeah.
Just giving them a boat and say, "Now you're a ranger," doesn't do the trick.
No, might actually lead to nepotism and a power trip for the park rangers.
Yes.
You know, they have this uniform on and feel powerful. But this is out of the spectrum for my thesis. I'm just speculating.
No, but just out of the scope, what is necessary to keep in mind for any future planning, I think it would be good to keep that in mind and remember that there is something else that might be good to think of.
They need transparency and clear the rules on zoning, because the fishermen are also confused about where the zones were, where they were allowed to fish and where they weren't. Sometimes the zoning changed. So
right, and they were not informed. You told me, and then they went, and then
and there's
the whole thing goes back and forth.
Yeah, and there's no website on the internet for them either to read about.
And even then, they probably do not have a computer to check it.
Barely any electricity.
Oh my god.
But there is electricity in the Komodo National Park on land.
Another really bad thing that you told me, that protected and rare species are even more valuable. So that makes the whole thing escalating in a really wrong way.
Yeah.
So we can't do much about that, I imagine. It's just market demands.
Exactly,
right?
It's a market function. When a species become protected, first of all, it's protected because it has a decrease in population. But also it becomes more exclusive because fewer people will catch them. So more exclusive goods will get a raise in demand. So they become more pricey.
Maybe the stripes of the tiger shark look good in the soup or something.
Yeah.
Since here on Life&Dive, we're not only about nature, life, but also about about diving. Do you see a possibility for divers to actually engage themselves and maybe help a little bit for a change?
Actually, getting into diving was what started me on this trip to begin with.
Yeah, you're an advanced diver yourself.
Yeah.
Pretty experienced, I guess.
Yeah,
a couple of hundred dives.
5 years at least. So. But when I did my advanced actually in Thailand, they were talking about these issues with shark finning and manta ray fishing on the boat. And so this was when this concern started for me. And then it's just exploded every time I go diving. I've been diving every year since I took my open water. Tried to, at least. It has increased. You know, every time I see a shark, I get more worried, or a manta.
So dive briefings can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Anything
and
else?
Just talks on the side.
Okay.
And
So ambassadorship.
yeah,
But do you think this needs to come only from the side of the dive masters and professionals? Or I was more thinking of the general public, the normal diver. What can they do, especially when they go home maybe after their dive holiday?
well, what I did was I started studying this.
Okay, but not everybody can do that.
Yeah. But get concerned, get activated. There are plenty of sites you can many foundations you can donate to, which do fantastic research. We have some based in here in Lembongan, for example, and look what they're doing, see if you can help somehow, and talk about it with other people, and just spread the knowledge basically, and put the pressure on China. I think that's the core of the issue, the demand from China.
No demand for shark fins
No shark fins on the
on the
fish
market. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is here, by the way? This is Secret Gardens, big fish diving.
Yeah,
in
exactly,
Lembongan. Nice place.
Mhm.
Friendly stuff. Right, so it's basically all about ambassadorship
I
and
think
then
so,
going
yeah.
out there and speaking up for the oceans
Yeah.
and the seas and the species in there.
Yeah.
Talking about the oceans, they're facing tremendous problems. Prepared a little shocking list here. I almost don't like to read, but it's about overfishing. There's ocean acidification. There's
Yeah.
global warming, which is also affecting the lands, of course, but in the oceans is often causing bleaching. As right now, the Great Barrier Reef, while we're speaking, is dying at
It
the
is
moment.
dying. Yeah.
The last El Nino, which had lasted almost 2 years, is about to kill 90% of the greatest reef system in the entire world. Now, if that is not a reason to cry, then and to finally
Especially since reefs are so vital to the ecosystems.
yes.
Yeah.
Another issue is coastal population development. They what comes in here goes out down there, and it's
Or it's thrown back there.
all thrown. Yeah,
Yeah.
like so it's basically too many nutrients. Coastal eutrophication
Yeah.
is caused by
And the
this.
plastic remains as well.
The plastic, the plastic trash. Those gigantic gyres are circling the oceans.
Yeah.
It's huge problems next to other forms of marine pollution. This list could be probably written on a toilet paper roll and just make it endless.
Yeah. Global fish stock has halved since the 1970s.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Do we still have a chance with all of this?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. Yeah. It looks grim, right?
Yeah, but this is also the time where it's the last chance to do anything, basically, these decades.
It's our generation.
Yeah.
Either
It
us
is our
or no
generation.
one.
Yeah.
On the other side, there is a lot of things out there. We're not exactly stupid. We're not monkeys anymore, even though that would be probably healthier for the planet. But we have a brain that we can use. So there's technology out there. You've just mentioned Tesla.
Yeah, like we discussed, Elon Musk right now is his new car sold pre-ordered to it 278,000 in just the first days.
About that
And he's
new
about
car
to-
that he just brought out, the Model
and
3.
he's about to kill the fossil fuel car bike for good.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be really good for everyone.
Yeah.
And for him too, probably.
Yeah.
He's gonna get rich with
Most-
that.
yeah.
Another thing, I think there's this really young, very inspiring Björn Slad. He came up with this arm thing that is slightly like this and it's collecting the trash of the oceans.
Yeah.
So the possibilities are there.
These are the inventions we need to really push, like his invention. It's incredible and good. Just using that and building on this technology, I mean, could really do a big difference for the plastic in the
But
oceans.
he needs money, right?
He needs money and he needs exposure, cover. He needs a lot.
So guys, if you know some rich guy, Björn Slad, help him. But on the other side, this is exactly the problem, right? We have a lack of support, be it finance, be it morally, be it public relations. People don't like bad news. That is a very big problem.
People like to stay in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what can we do about this? Especially maybe as a diver who goes out.
Yeah. What we can. I mean, find your way of helping. the
address
personal way. Yeah.
also uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and dare to take a look at it. Step away from the TV and step out and look what's going on.
Maybe have a stroll in the forest for once.
I mean, I'm writing about shark finning, but I'm a social scientist, and I find my way of helping anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even though I'm no knowledge of marine biology except for being a layman. So there are ways to help and do your things.
You gave me an example of a place normally the world knows as quite shocking, one of the biggest catastrophes. I'm talking about Chernobyl. You've got some interesting things there.
Well, I only read about it briefly, but it seems that the ecosystem there is flourishing since humans left. And even despite all the radiation, the impact of the radiation is much smaller on the ecosystem compared to when humans were living there. So if humans leave, the ecosystem seems to have quite many ways of recovering very rapidly.
Ah, and that's just 30 years ago.
Yeah, and they're using it as a case study for analyzing how ecosystems recover after humans have left, as a prime example.
Well, we cannot leave just like that, but overpopulation is that's basically the key to it. And yeah, what do you think? What can we do about overpopulation?
According to the statistics and demographics I've understood, that women's education is the biggest driver for decreased childhood, decreased number of children, and it's especially evident in developing countries where there are very strong statistics that more education will result in lesser children. Because young women will have something to say about their bodies, and they will get alternatives and higher income, which also leads to children becoming more of an investment, more of an expended than an investment.
So yeah, basically we can probably conclude that there is hope, at least somehow. We've got technology, we've got bright people like you that are trying to find out the links in between.
But there are warnings of just trusting technology too much.
Yeah? Oh.
Yeah, we can't trust technology to solve our problems in 20 years.
No, of course not.
Because that's being passive.
What type of warnings?
Well, it's basically it's a theory that technology will solve it for us.
Right.
It's a guess. It's an idea. But I don't think we should trust these ideas too much at all time.
So we have to keep
We
sharp.
have to start acting now and don't believe that future technology will save us from our daily mistakes.
Until then, giving up is for pussies.
Yeah. So
Check, mate. Thanks very much. And
thank you.
also to you guys, thanks for watching. And I hope to see you again. And keep inspired and inspire us, inspire your non-divers to dive and get out there and spread the news. Thanks for listening and see you again.